Max's journey through time.
Max was no ordinary dog.
Max had a secret. He could travel through time.
His owner, a kind-hearted scientist named Dr. Sarah, had accidentally unlocked the secret of time travel while working on an experiment.
One day, while chasing a squirrel in the backyard, Max tumbled into the lab, accidentally triggering the time machine. Before he knew it, Max found himself surrounded by towering trees and the sounds of nature, far from the familiar sights of home.
Curious and unafraid, Max began to explore, his nose leading him to a small town where the air buzzed with excitement.
As he wandered through the town, Max noticed a crowd gathering in the distance.
His tail wagged with curiosity, and he trotted over to see what was happening.
People were gathered around a tall, bearded man who stood on a wooden platform, speaking with a voice full of passion and wisdom.
Max recognized the man from history books Sarah had read to him. This was none other than President Abraham Lincoln.
Max couldn't believe his luck. He had traveled back to one of the most pivotal times in American history. As President Lincoln continued his speech, Max felt a strong connection to the leader.
Without hesitation, he made his way through the crowd, his paws carrying him right to Lincoln's feet.
The president paused, looking down at the unexpected visitor.
"Well, aren't you a fine fellow?" Lincoln said, his deep voice warm and kind.
Max wagged his tail furiously, feeling an overwhelming sense of purpose. He had come to meet one of the greatest leaders of all time. Lincoln seemed to sense something special about Max.
He whispered something in the dog's ear, words that only Max could hear, and gave him one last pat before standing up to continue his speech.
Max, his heart full of pride, knew it was time to return home.
With one last look at President Lincoln, Max turned and trotted back towards the forest.
As he walked, the world around him began to blur, and before he knew it, Max was back in his own time in the safety of Sarah's lab.
Sarah rushed in, worried but relieved to see Max safe and sound. She had been frantic, searching for him everywhere.
But Max, with a knowing look in his eyes, simply curled up at her feet, content with his incredible adventure. From that day on, Max would often dream of his encounter with President Lincoln, feeling grateful for the brief but powerful moment they had shared.
And though he couldn't tell Sarah about his journey, he knew he had played a small part in history. A time-traveling dog with a heart as big as his spirit.